The following information will help you design and run a basic classroom economy where students can actively explore concepts like earning an income, paying rent and taxes, fiscal responsibility, selling goods and services, and determining the health and growth of an economic system. In this economy, being a student is a job, and students are financially rewarded for performing well both academically and behaviorally. The teacher's job at the start is to be both the government and the central bank, enforcing all the rules and controlling the supply of money. Every classroom is different, so every classroom economy will be different. You can follow these general guidelines to set one up and try it out. Like in real life, the economy might not work the first time, and that's okay. Discuss what went wrong and what can be improved. Then reset and try again with different parameters. All right, are you excited? Me too. Let's get started. First, you all need to decide on a currency. When I was in 5th grade, our currency was called scholar dollars. When I was teaching high school economics, we called the currency eco dollars. Once you've selected the name of your currency, you need to either find a template for printed money or have a student design it. So find or design the currency and then have the teacher print out a bunch of bills. 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s, 500s, and thousands. I used to sign each bill with a special highlighter so we would know the currency was authentic. That is an option. All right, go create your currency and then come back to me. Now that you have your currency, let's talk about how students can get their hands on some of it. Being a student in our classroom economy is a job. So here's an example of how student salaries and bonuses might be structured. Here are 3 basic daily salaries. Students can earn $200 per day for being friendly and following all directions. Or students can earn $100 per day for being present and following most of the directions. Or students can earn $50 per day for just showing up but not doing too well with the directions. Now, here are some bonuses for behavior and achievement. Students can earn $10 if the teacher observes them demonstrating an exceptional kindness. And students can earn $10 for doing exceptional work on any assignment. The teacher pays all salaries and bonuses. All right, discuss these salaries and bonuses, come up with some of your own, and decide what will work for your classroom economy. Once you decide, type them up and post them somewhere in the room so everyone is aware of the parameters. Now that you have the details of your salaries and bonuses posted, let's talk about additional jobs in this economy. We will need a tax collector. This student will be responsible for collecting taxes and keeping track of all tax revenue. Next, we will need an economist. This student will be responsible for tracking, calculating, and graphing what we call gross classroom product, which is the total value of goods and services purchased in the classroom during the week. I will explain this in more detail a little later. We will also need an auctioneer. This student will be responsible for running the weekly auction. And finally, we will need a government official. This student will be responsible for helping the teacher with the enforcement of all the rules. Each student who performs an additional job will receive an additional weekly salary. I suggest an additional salary of $500 per week, but you can discuss and decide what additional salary will work best for your economy. All right. Figure out who in the classroom might want these additional responsibilities. And if multiple students want the jobs, the teacher can choose to have students create resumes and apply for the positions. Beyond jobs, every student can choose to provide an additional good or service to be sold during the weekly auction. Goods are tangible items like hand-drawn portraits or friendship bracelets, while services are activities provided by people. Services in the classroom economy might include desk cleaning or tutoring. Every week, a small amount of classroom time will be given to students to work on creating their goods or performing their services. At the end of each week, there is an auction run by the auctioneer. This is when all these goods and services are sold. If a good or service is not purchased during the auction, the government will purchase it for a fair price. Okay, before moving on, there are a few things for you all to discuss. First, brainstorm a list of goods and services that students in the economy might be interested in providing. Write the list on the board. Students can offer any good or service they want from that list. They can select not to offer one at all, and of course, if multiple students want to offer the same good or service, That works too. A little competition is perfectly fine. Second, do some research on auctions and then discuss how the weekly auction will work in the classroom. Write out the rules that the auctioneer will follow. Finally, discuss whether or not goods like candy from outside of the classroom will be allowed to be brought in and sold during the auction. Discuss the pros and cons of allowing this. Okay, everyone has at least one salary plus a number of other ways of getting extra income. So let's talk about taxes. The government is going to take a percentage of everything you earn. Why? For the public good. Your taxes will pay for a safe classroom, clean air, the salary of the tax collector, economist, auctioneer, government official, and for the items the government purchases during the auction. Your tax dollars go to ensure the classroom economy runs smoothly and fairly. The tax collector will collect income tax from students each week. I recommend starting with a flat tax. Everyone pays 20% of their income each week. So for example, if you make $1,000 this week, you must pay $200 in taxes. Now, you have two things to discuss here. First, brainstorm how the tax collector will collect the taxes each week. One option is that students have a single piece of paper listing their income, including salaries, bonuses, and auction sales. Then they calculate their income tax by multiplying the total income by the percentage rate. For example, 20%, we would multiply the total income by 0.20. The students would fold the paper in half and include their income tax payment inside and hand it over to the tax collector. Second, the government can choose to levy what is called a progressive income tax. This means that as a student's income increases, they pay a larger percentage of that income in taxes. For example, if a student only makes $250 to $999 this week, they pay a 10% income tax. However, if a student makes $1,000 to $1,499, they pay 20%. And if a student makes $1,500 or more, they pay 30%. So there would be tax brackets, and students who make more would pay a larger percentage. Discuss the pros and cons of a progressive tax and decide if that will work for your economy. In addition to paying taxes, each student will be required to pay rent every week for their desk. To start, the government owns all the desks and charges students to use them. Of course, the desks are also for sale, but students will need to save if they want to buy their desk. And yes, students can buy multiple desks and collect rent on other desks they own. For example, weekly desk rent might be $150. This is collected by the government official at the end of each week. If students want to buy their desk or any other desk, it costs $15,000. All right, discuss and agree upon how much desk rent will be each week, in addition to how much a desk will cost. Create a document that is a deed of ownership that can be printed out and given to students when they buy a desk. If students end up buying the desk of another student, they might be inclined to drastically raise the rent. Maybe they would try to charge $300 per week instead of $150. Should the government regulate this? Why or why not? Now that we have a basic economy up and running with jobs happening, goods and services being sold, and money flowing, let's keep track of how our economy is doing. In many countries, they calculate what is called gross domestic product, or GDP. This is the total of all goods and services sold during a certain time period. In this classroom, we are going to keep track of what we call gross classroom product, or GCP. This will be the total of all goods and services sold every week. The classroom economist will keep track of this and report on it at the end of each week. GCP equals total auction sales plus all rent payments plus all desk purchases. GCP can be plotted on a line graph with time on the x-axis and dollar amount on the y-axis. This will give us a visual representation of the health of our economy. We want the GCP to grow over time. All right, let's give it a try. Now that we are off and running, here are 5 ways to enhance the classroom economy. Discuss how each might work. 1. You can choose to have a sales tax in addition to the income tax. Sales tax is a percentage of the sale price of all goods and services that are purchased during the auction. 2. If students don't have enough money to pay rent, they can choose to borrow money from the central bank controlled by the teacher, or from another student. If students borrow money, they will need to pay an interest rate on what they borrow. Discuss what the interest rate should be and what, if any, regulations should exist. 3. Students can open a savings account with the teacher at the central bank. If students choose to save some of their money, they can earn an interest rate from the bank. Discuss what that interest rate should be and what, if any, regulations should exist. 4. The economist can also be required to keep track of the amount of money in the economy, as well as calculate and report the rate of inflation by creating a classroom price index, similar to the consumer price index. They can do some research about how inflation is calculated and then give it a try. And 5. A student or group of students can be given the power to completely take over the role of government and central bank by the teacher. They would make all future decisions about taxes, payments, and regulations. Their job would be to figure out how to make the economy grow as much as possible. Good luck.